Shall I leave?
No, say yeah, welcome back to another episode.
You want me to say welcome back?
Yeah.
Yeah? I was going to call everyone else ciders. You're
know
going to
about
hate that. No, we can discuss
Cheese.
that. Yeah. Well, yeah, and then we can discuss it. That's the whole point.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. Welcome back to another episode of Slightly Offside. I'm your co-host, Victoria Rush.
And I'm your co-host, Amy Humphreys. And today we're joined with the amazing PropLife, Jemma Norton, aka she does have a real name. Jemma, how are you?
I'm good, thank you guys. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're about surviving, I think.
Yeah, the year's not far enough in to be this tired already, but somehow I just feel like we're back to where we were, like post-World Cup chaos.
100%. Like, I feel like I've breathed twice since the World Cup, and now I'm
Breathed
suddenly
twice.
like, oh my gosh, I'm back into it yet again.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
How has life been for you?
You know what? It's been a real up and down over the last year. Like, I've been dealing with a lot of injuries. You know, we've had like personal bereavements and stuff. So I really took some time after the World Cup to just kind of be in my bubble, recenter. And it's done me a lot of good and kind of, get my head down, prioritise where I want to go and what I want to do. And I think that's really healthy sometimes, just to go into your little hole, you know, for a bit and hibernate, come back out fresh.
Yeah, press the reset. Sometimes you just need that, don't you? A bit of a switch up and some time to focus on yourself to be like, right, I'm ready.
Especially, I think, when you do like what we do in content, you know, you give out so much of yourself externally and you never want to be fake and you never want to be inauthentic. And so when you're trying to seem positive through a burnout, to me, that's less genuine than saying, do you know what, I'm having a minute, and then coming back when you're a bit fresher. So, yeah, for me, it was about having that time just to go, I need a minute.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
And just quickly, for people who don't know you, could you give a little insight into what you do, where you work, and, who you are?
Yeah, so if you haven't seen something unhinged and rugby related popping up on your Instagram or TikTok, that's my kind of content. I started making content similarly to you during the lockdowns. I was bored and lonely, as a lot of us are, and realised that my kind of rugby community was sat watching TikTok and Instagram, and I really missed those people. I also recognised that my younger self that really needed rugby was sat there watching all of these kind of videos. And so I thought, if I can get a couple more girls to pick up boots, then we're winning. And it's been a crazy whirlwind ever since, really.
I was actually going to say, you're talking about World Cup and hibernating. I was like, we did the exact opposite of that. I think we nearly killed ourselves trying to be as out in France as possible.
I'm waiting to hibernate
Yeah,
still.
I mean, it's literally, this stuff is how we all met. We didn't know each other. We first met, we covered this before, we first met in my premiere. We first met...
Premiere as well?
I think that was the first time we met in person,
In person,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we'd spoken across Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this is
And
the
yeah.
thing with
Same.
social media. You feel like you've met each other before you've actually met each other
100%.
in person, because there is, obviously, it's women's rugby, obviously it's a massive passion. So when we have more women talking and promoting that sport, we just naturally like bond over that like shared passion. So I felt like I'd met you before I'd even actually met you in person. But I think we first met at the TikTok Six Nations launch.
Yes,
was
we
that
did.
2 years ago or 1 year ago now? Because there's already been another
It's
one.
almost 3.
Wow, time's gone quick. It was a while ago, but I remember that's the first time we met, and we ended up doing line-out lifts in front of the camera.
We threw
Yeah.
Charlie. Yeah. But
Standard.
I had exactly the same thing when I met Sam Love Rugby, because like she and I have connected, you know, across TikTok for over 3 years, and I finally met her in person about a year ago, and it's so strange walking up to someone who's so familiar but so new at the same time. It's like
She was the OG of rugby TikTok, wasn't she?
100%. She's so great.
She was great.
Yeah, I guess like one of the things we always start with is just a little bit like what's going on in our lives, you know,
A
how
life
we've
update.
been, who we are. Yeah, call it a life update. You called it spill the tea. I don't know if that's a name we should consider forever or not. Maybe we should ask people what we should name that kind of part
life
of it.
update or spill the tea. There you go.
Yeah, it's been sensible this year, a little bit more. Well, more than last year. I don't know what you were doing. It's losing my mind all over the world. Yeah, I tried to redecorate my house, painting sucks.
Yeah, you got my opinion on all different shades of greys and beige,
Hey,
and I was
beige.
like, "Who the fuck have we become? Like, what is this?"
That's exactly
We're,
what happened.
In the living room, holding up pamper grass to the wall, being like, "Is this a nice colour to walk into?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who are even?
Yeah,
I don't recognise."
Dry January really turned me into somebody I didn't think I was, and it turns out when I'm sober, I'm really, really boring.
Your 20s is such a wild era. Like a few years ago, I was like, "Woo, I'm coming back at 3 a.m." and now I'm like, is
Bed by
that
9.
oat milk shade of wall paint, or is that like chai?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So my
stone
mum
pebble.
actually messaged me when I was discussing colours of beige with my mum about painting the wall. She was like, "Is that latte or cappuccino?" And I was like,
Jesus.
"When you paint that, this is really millennial because we all love coffee so much that now paint companies have started naming paint colours of coffee,
Yeah.
so that we'll buy it." Like, it was
Great
ridiculous.
marketing.
I was like, "Yeah, I was like,
Sold.
that's proper millennial marketing."
Flat white, I'll buy it.
Oat milk latte, sign me up.
They'll be doing like a green called avocado toast. soon.
Yeah, I'd buy
God.
it. Just,
Yeah, I'd
just
buy
for
it.
the avocado. Well, my life update, I was speaking to Jemma actually, is my dog, my puppy is sort of growing up into, I feel like this like teenage era where she's kind of being a little bit naughty. And Jemma used to be a dog trainer. I don't know if people know that, but yeah, we were having chats about how to get her to like basically not run off into the road. So that's been fun.
It's one of those things. I could probably do a whole podcast on myself, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's so normal for the age. And yeah, in my past life, before being the prop life, I was a dog trainer, and I've worked.
Was that
at-
your full-time job before you went onto TikTok for rugby?
Yeah, I spent a bit of time in office work for a bit. I was self-employed before the pandemic, and I saw like my colleagues and friends around me having to use like food banks and stuff when the loans didn't come in.
Oh my
so I
God.
went, no, I'm
What
just going to
time?
I'm going to get an office job, and just that's when I started doing TikToks because I was bored. And then after the pandemic, I realised how burnt out and how like drained I'd become from it. And actually, I love the dogs, but couldn't deal with the people. So
Mood.
yeah,
I get it.
yeah. So that's when I changed direction. But yeah, that was me my past life, as I call it. I've worked at Battersea Dogs Trust.
You got a favourite dog breed?
Oh, I have a beagle.
Okay, cute.
So
Cute.
I love working with centre hounds. They're so smart, and she's the one dog out of probably close to 1,000 dogs that I've worked with that'll look you dead in the eye and just go, yeah, but why should I?
Mine does that.
That is
Genuinely.
good,
He looks at you and goes,
"Your dog's wild."
No.
I can't even say that anymore.
Cool. Yeah, wait until yours is
Yeah.
the same age as mine.
Yeah.
Mine is now absolutely insane. Bless my mum. She's so stressed out with him because she kind of sees him as a grandchild because he technically is my baby. And then obviously not really.
Tell me you're a millennial without telling me.
Yeah, absolutely. Made all my decisions based around the dog. And mum's like, well, I want him to be okay. I want him to have a great life. She feeds him 4 times a day. He gets fed better than I did growing up with my mum. It's insane.
We've
but
been
he's
having
happy.
like 1 meal a day recently, haven't we? Anyway, too busy.
Haven't eaten fed myself, but mum's feeding the dog. Yeah. But yeah, women's rugby, women's Six Nations. I'm going to jump straight into it. It starts now.
I am so
It's happening.
excited.
What's going on an NFL commentator that screams into the mic? It's happening!
Six Nations. Yeah, so how excited are you?
Honestly, like 11 out of 10, and every year I sit on a podcast and I go, this year it's going to be the biggest one yet.
Yeah.
And then every year it just keeps getting bigger and better. You know, last year we had over 58,000 people sat at Twickenham roaring.
Is that
for
the
women's
number?
rugby.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
cried. I literally
Oh
cried.
my God.
So-
I cried on the way home and had to ring you the next day to understand why I was crying. I thought it was...
Yeah.
I
No,
thought I was
so-
drunk and I had only had 2 drinks. I was like, what's wrong with me? I was literally bawling my eyes out, sat on a train home from Twickenham to Earlsfield.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was wrong with me.
So I was lucky enough to actually be delivering the match ball that day, and I did the player of the match as well.
What a day.
And I walked on that pitch, and over 58,000 people were roaring for women's rugby, and I was getting choked up.
I even feel
because
like now
it felt like the biggest FU to the idiots in my comment section, or the idiots that have turned me away from club facilities, or the people that have kicked me out of club facilities repeatedly when I went back in. You know, all those people that have ever stood in the way. And I'm also conscious that I come to rugby at a more privileged point than a lot of other people did. You know, we've had the older Red Roses who have been absolutely chipping away, you know, people like Giselle Mather as well, like who's done an incredible job. I'm privileged, but I still have battles, and I think it's being aware of like the people that started that snowball. So when 58,000 people were roaring, and I was just like, for everyone that says no one watches it, and for everyone that says like it doesn't matter, there's
Fuck
nearly
you.
60,000.
Yeah,
Sorry about
literally.
fuck you. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I was sideline on the pitch, and at what do you remember? Right at the end,
I remember.
everybody stayed and sung. Was it Sweet Caroline?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just there, and I kind of just lost my mind at one point, and was just singing in the middle of all this noise. I'd never heard it at a women's game before, just jumping up and down. There's this video, and I was just like,
and Sugar Babes were
Oh,
there.
so
Honestly, I was
good.
fangirling. This was like living my like inner child as
I
well.
became legally the 4th sugar babe.
Wait, you did? You got a selfie with them?
I will not be taking questions on that. I have become the 4th sugar babe. So any
add the
suggestions on
photo.
my sugar babe name, please do. What
What are their names? Do
You've
they
got-
have? Is it like Spice Girls where they have like cool names, or are they
No.
just the Sugar Babes?
They just have really cool names in general.
In general,
like, as
okay.
people.
Nice.
You got like Mutia, Heidi. I'm pulling a total blank now on the sugar babes names, but they all have.
Girl,
really-
if you're the 4th Sugar Babes, you better get to know them.
I know.
the other names.
I know, but yeah,
No, I love that for you. That was really, really fun. I actually remember seeing the selfie, and I was like, that is just the best picture I've ever seen.
Do you know what as well? Like,
So good.
like, you know, I've had the privilege of meeting some really cool people, and you never know quite how they're going to be. They're either going to be lovely,
Yeah.
or you kind of like, okay,
Oh.
that stole a bit of my joy. The sugar babes could not have been nicer. They were so
Aw.
lovely. I was like, oh, do you mind if I just have a little selfie?
Yeah,
and they were,
fangirl.
yeah, girl, come on, get in here. Like Mucha basically grabbed me in like a headlock of love, and I was just like, this is one of the best days of my life.
Cool. So
they say
cool.
don't meet your idols, but do you know what? I've heard that a lot recently, and every single person's come back and gone, you should meet your idol.
Yeah.
So I think actually, I mean, there's
Yeah.
probably one or two that are just knobs, and you're like, you should have known that was coming. But generally speaking, go meet your idols, especially if they're women's
100%.
rugby.
I don't think
think
there's
Come
anyone
meet me.
I've
You
not-
should. I'm great.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
I think like with Meet Your Idols, it either like totally reinforces why you love them, or it takes you so far in the other direction and gives you a wake up call, and that stings at the time, but actually it's valuable in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. Literally. There's only one person that I met within rugby that I was like, oh, I'm a bit disappointed. But apart from that, everyone else that I've met, I do generally just like feel like they've lived up to my expectation. And what do you feel like this like about this kind of sport that is such a tight knit community that even at the international level, this is the difference with rugby I think from other sports, but even at the international level, you can actually kind of become friends with these people. They're just so accessible.
They're just like, I think the Red Roses in particular are so aware of the example that they set. So they are aware that thousands of little girls now look to them, and it's about what attitude makes a red rose. Is it someone that pushes the fans away, the little girls that have paid to come and see them, or is it someone that hugs them, takes a selfie? Like for me, Zoe Oldcroft is one of the people that absolutely embodies that the most.
Yeah, she's great.
She came off the pitch at Twickenham, and I was like, and she looked at me like. And she just gave me a massive hug, and she's just such a lovely human, and I think that is what we want 23 times over in our Red Roses squad.
Literally,
So,
you don't see
yeah.
you don't see many other players apart from on this women's side doing the worm like Hannah Bottoman does pitch side. I mean, like that's the kind of players that we're getting access to, and it's just like they show their personality and they're so like. They want the game to grow as well, so that's why they've got time for people, and it's showing, isn't it? Like how well the game's growing. So
Yeah, a couple of
it's
years
exciting.
ago, Red Roses open training session at Twickenham, Hannah Bottom signed a guy's calf, and he got it tattooed to his leg.
I didn't know this.
Do you know what? I've got his phone number somewhere. I'm going to find it, and we'll put that back together, because I think I also have the clip of her signing it,
That's so good.
and you'd never have thought that for female athletes, like even a couple of years ago, and it was a lad that did it. So I was like, do you know what, that shows what Hannah Bottoman means to any rugby player, doesn't matter their gender. And I was like, yeah, that was like one of those moments as if this is happening around me right now.
I didn't
And
know
guys
that.
like that as well. Like we were joking earlier about like the alpha male podcasts, but guys like that are whatever the other end of the spectrum of that is.
Yeah.
Like they are so
Allies.
comfortable in their allyship and their masculinity. Like they are the kind of people I want to surround myself with constantly, because they shout about women's sport, and they're not just because it's becoming cool.
Yeah.
They shout about it because they've actually turned up and watched it. They've seen the quality of the sport and they've seen the quality of the people behind it as well. And again, those people are setting great examples, not just to those little girls turning up, but to their dads who are maybe coming along watching a women's rugby game for the first time. Those guys are examples to other men, and I literally just want to go and give every guy that is like that genuinely a hug.
Yeah, because
I'm
we
like,
appreciate
thank
you.
Yes.
Right, Gemma, the reason we're here, the reason we have all the guests on our show is to bring us the best stories from rugby. That's why we're here. So it's your time in the hot seat.
So, I mean, what can I say without, getting myself into hot water?
Just get yourself into hot water.
It doesn't have to be you. It could be a story of someone else.
Be anonymous, so, take your chances.
So no names, no clubs, and no locations.
Unless it's about you.
And you want to give them.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I went out for one beer once and came home 18 hours later in a monk costume with a limp.
they need an explanation of that.
Dissect this
You know when someone's like, no context, no, I need the context in this one. I just suddenly got this image of you.
I went out for one beer. 18 hours later, I came home.
Do you know what made it so
I think
great?
I can imagine you walking, because I've been in your flat, I can imagine you walking in your front door. That's the thing that just hit me. I'm like, stood in your corridor, like, what the fuck?
The beautiful part was I actually lived with my mum still at the time. So
Sorry, mum. Sorry, all rugby mums out there, by the way.
Mum, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. I'm so excited. So she literally was sat on her laptop and she looked right, and there's me coming back looking like I've literally crawled through a hedge.
Dying.
And I was just like, I look like Gollum's sister.
Have you got a picture of this?
Honestly, I think I have somewhere. I'll have to find one for you. But yeah, basically.
Wait, how did this happen, please?
So it was.
We've all been for one beer. You know what it means.
One beer.
One beer.
I know. Well, the thing was, there was a rugby social, but I wasn't fully invested.
One beer.
But I wasn't invested in it, genuinely. Like, I was just like, I'll go along for a beer. Like, I've got my costume now. I'll just go along for a beer. And then it's typical rugby social. It escalated really fast, and we're all drinking. All the Scottish viewers will appreciate this Buckfast tonic wine, which I don't know if you've ever drunk.
I've heard of Buckfast, but I don't know about.
So it's brewed in Buckfastleigh in Devon, but it's become like the national drink of Scotland. Really rogue. It's a tonic wine. It's about 14%, but it's also caffeinated. So
I need that in the morning.
the also important
Alcohol and caffeine.
Yeah, to wake me the fuck up.
honestly, it'll just put you back in the grave, mate.
Amy, functioning alcoholic.
But like the other important piece of context
I'm
of
so
this as well,
excited.
we've been playing touch rugby all day, so that's why as well I wasn't really committed to the social. I was like, I'll play the rugby, like I'll have a couple of beers and then go home. And so dehydrated, haven't been in the sun, Buckfast tonic wine, horrible combination. So yeah, that's how I went for one beer and returned 18 hours later in a monk costume with a limp.
Do you know what? I'll say that there is something for drinking, like sevens tournaments. One of my friends and I used to do sevens tournaments where we refused to drink water during game time. So I'm gonna have to get Chloe on here, but I'm gonna have to censor all the stories, or at least have to approve them in advance.
The NDA will be back.
Yeah, a really long list of things she can't ever share.
You'll be coming up with all the fake names. You'll be like, Jackie.
Do you know what? I used to name. I can't believe I'm doing this. I used to name my drunk self Nick.
The hell?
Because I had such a different personality when I was that drunk that I had a drunk alter ego called Nick.
Vic Nick. I love it.
Yeah, and then
I used to just be like, that wasn't me, that was Patricia.
yeah, that was it. Look,
God,
if you had
Patricia.
if you had that conversation with Nick, it doesn't mean you necessarily had it with me. So take it up with Nick.
Oh, I like this. I need
Yeah, because I wouldn't remember anything, so you couldn't have a go at me because I didn't know what happened.
Mine could be Jamie.
yeah. Everybody on here now also needs to give themselves a drunk nickname.
Yeah. What's your drunk nickname?
So there was one Richmond summer social
Oh no.
sevens, and everyone was run on the water.
Yeah.
But for us, we couldn't have water, so it would probably be a can of gin and tonic or something like that.
Yeah.
Which isn't a good idea anyway. I mean, you spend all day in the sun, you're drinking, you're dehydrated, sevens, and then you get to the end of the day and you're drinking anyway.
Yeah.
All I really remember after the game, and like there's the the music on and the DJ and everything. And I remember mixing a can of black cider with gin. Like, my alcohol needed more alcohol. Anyway, I passed out in a field, lost my phone. Chloe tried to put my shoes back on my feet. I don't know why they weren't on in the first place. Back on my feet by putting me on the bonnet of a car to sit. Well, she put the shoe on my foot. Anyway, I fell over as soon as she let go of me. Somehow got back to her house with all our friends, and I was like, I'm going home, and she just went, fine. If you can order a cab, knowing I'd already lost my phone. So if you can order a cab, you can go home.
Yeah.
Anyway, she found me passed out on the landing about 20 minutes later, because that's as far as I'd made it. Woke up in the morning. Obviously no idea what had happened. So we found my iPhone all the way back into Richmond in the middle of one of the fields. It was just still there.
That is mad.
I don't think people appreciate this about you, but like when you're drunk, Nick is part fainting goat as well. Like you're just like, I nap now. I'm done.
Yeah, there is just a point where I finish. I just cannot go any longer, and I'm like, I now must be asleep.
Yeah, it's decided.
And you'll go from being like bop to stop as well.
Bop to stop. God, this Nick guy.
That happened at the World Cup. On the third day, I just stopped being able to drink anymore. And one of the girls said, you just went from being absolutely fine to just stood there, just sort of swaying in a circle. She's like, I must take her home. That was like, I'm out.
Yeah. That's also actually leading on to my other quite good grassroots rugby story.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
So there is a photo of me on a Facebook community page dressed as Superwoman in high heels carrying my best mate over my shoulder.
What a photo. That's like rugby in a picture.
Do you want the
Power
caption?
woman.
Not all heroes wear capes, but some literally do, was the caption.
Oh, yeah.
Literal cape.
You're carrying a drunk friend home, were you?
So
That's pretty impressive with heels
she did
on.
what I'm now calling a Nick Rush.
It used to be called getting Vicky Rush drunk at uni. It was actually a thing. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. She did a Nick Rush. So she was literally dancing and she looked at me and I looked at her, and you know when you just see the lights go out, and she was just like, I'm done. So I'm holding her under the armpits and I'm trying to dance. And the bounce.
It's like the worst 7-year-old disco kind of like.
Sweatiest place to grab something.
I was like, this is she's either going to be here or on the floor.
Either way, I need to hold this.
You did what you had to do, as any true friend would.
Lord's work. And the bouncer looked at me and I looked at him, and he just kind of looked at me as if to say, absolutely not. So I started walking her outside, but you know when your mate has really like violent spaghetti legs?
Yeah. I'm that person, yeah.
So I was just like trying to walk her, but the legs were just not legging. And so I was just like, well, we're about 200 yards from the taxi rank. So I just went, come here, popped her over my shoulder. And that kind of, again, drunk rigor mortis. Like, they don't help you at all.
Oh, dead weight.
If anything, not here to help.
Yeah, it is like... they seem to double in weight. Anyway, so I'm walking along with my mate over my shoulder, who is properly, she's, bless her, she's had a few beverages. And I didn't realise that someone across the other side of Exmouth Town Centre had clearly seen this, found it hilarious and taken a photo.
Oh my God.
So there's a picture of me, and I wake up the next day and I check through my phone and I'm like, that looks like, that was me.
Exeter spotted Facebook group.
Literally.
Who the hell was this superhero in heels carrying a woman over her shoulder?
Literally. Caption, not all heroes wear capes, but some literally
really
do.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, I love that. You've
And,
made it in life when you've made it into your town's spotted Facebook group.
For a good reason.
Isn't it? Yeah. You wake up and you're tagged in stuff, and there's a lot of notifications. Like, what did I do? Do I open this, or do I live in blind ignorance for as long as possible?
It's why I actually started putting my phone in like sleep mode when I go like out for a few drinks, because it would stop me picking my phone up to like look at a notification and then be like, no, I'm going to get a selfie, and there's me like.
I've got a few of those.
Yeah, it stopped me doing that.
Hey guys, it's Vic here. Just bringing you a quick message from the best sponsor for our podcast, Budgie Smuggler. They have a special discount code just for our listeners. Visit budgiesmuggleruk.com and enter the code OFFSIDE15 to get 15% off their Six Nations flag range, as well as their official England Rugby and Wales Rugby Budgie Smugglers.
So this is your butt clencher moment of the week, brought to you by Budgie Smugglers. So, big up Budgies. Yeah, as you can see. So the grassroots people have sent me in their embarrassing stories or...
Love it.
Yeah, whatever. It could be embarrassing. It could be, about your coach, people on your team. It doesn't even have to be about you or something that you've heard because it's all anonymous. This is the beautiful thing about this podcast. So nobody will know. How will they know?
Until you hear one about yourself. I'm really worried one of these will be about me, and at the end of the story I'll realise, but I'm never going to know because I don't read them. This
And
is
you'll never admit
one
it,
thing I
so
love.
there's
Like,
that.
I know what's happening,
Yeah.
but this is the one thing I'll never know that Amy's always seen before, and sometimes she's like,
Vic doesn't see these ones. So.
I'll get a message midweek to go, one of these stories this week's going to be bloody brilliant. I'm like,
Amy's
Literally.
like rolls up.
Right. So, this got sent in. We were asking about stories about people's rugby coach. Okay, so this come in. It said, the day after England lost in the Women's Rugby World Cup final, our coach turned up to training in the New Zealand jersey. Bear in mind, we had all got up early and gone to the rugby club to watch it together the morning before. We were not impressed.
Oh.
I think
that just hurts.
you'd be allowed to punch a coach for that.
But also as well,
I'm okay
if
with
he's
that.
genuinely a New Zealander though,
I don't know if he was or whether he was just
reason.
annoying
was he just
them.
doing it out of spite?
This is what we need to know. See, we only ever hear a little bit of the story, but
We need more context, people. If you're going to turn around and go, it was actually our Welsh coach, you'd get it and you'd be like, arsehole,
Although
but of course he was going to do it.
tactically, he was also firing up some rage for the game.
maybe this was his tactic. Like, you guys are lazy and you're not training hard enough, so I'm going to piss you off into training harder. And I'm going to make you, no. But to be fair, I'm going to piss you off to make you run faster.
Lessons on not having Amy as a coach, apparently.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not something I'm willing to do.
Coaching with Amy.
Yeah, I can tell you all about it. It's not fun.
No. To be fair, after had stopped playing rugby, people were like, are you going to still be rugby with Amy? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I do a lot of rugby stuff. But then, I tried netball out and I was like, netball with Amy? No, it's not the same.
It doesn't
It's
have
not
the
the
same
same.
ring.
It's not the
Doesn't have
same.
the same
I don't know
ring.
if you get the same as me as well, Amy, because you're fairly tall as well.
Yeah.
At least 2 or 3 times a year, I get approached by different places. So
Yeah.
because I do strong women and stuff as well, but I get MMA quite a lot.
Okay, nice.
I get approached by MMA quite a lot.
What
and I'm
for?
like,
Just try out
content?
the sport.
I think I just look like I want to get punched in the face. I don't know, but I just
I love
to
that.
have a go.
To have a
Boxing
go.
as well.
Would you have a go?
Do you know what? Not MMA, not boxing. One of the reasons I've sadly put my boots down is I just need to limit my head knocks now, and
Yeah, preach.
it's something we're all conscious of. But yeah, that's why I'm choosing to go into a strength sport rather than something where I can obtain more head knocks. Really.
So I've started boxing, but just for fitness. I'm not going to fight. Even though my competitive side, even though, when I was younger, I did boxing for 3 years as well. But I tried every sport under the sun. #ADHD. So that's that.
Samesies.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
3 of us.
I was through all the time. Even, it was...
You can
But the
smell
World
the
Cup, I
ADHD
was
in the room
lit-
right now.
I was sat in the stands trying to explain something and then just went, oh, look at that.
And I was like,
what?
squirrel.
Every time.
Do you know how we can tell, right? Is the fact that we've done one story.
Yeah.
In the last
Oh, yeah, we've
Back
been
pension
going
moment of the
through-
week. Right.
the tangents do be
Okay.
tangenting.
Yeah. What do I want for dinner? No, wait, hang on. Right, so... Okay,
hungry.
so this one's good. So when I was in my last year of junior rugby, I was in a match and it was the one time I didn't wear undershorts. I had a pair of shorts that were slightly too big for me. Anyway, long story short, I got tackled and it was such an awkward tackle that the ref saw my whole vagina and I'm pretty sure he saw my future. He was that close.
Do you know what? I love the wording of that so much.
So good. The girl clearly had excellent aim because I had underwear on. She just managed to maneuver it perfectly. Imagine flashing the ref your whole fadge.
So I wear...
I saw my future. You can imagine what his eyes looked like when you looked up.
That poor ref. I wear I wear oddballs quite a lot.
Oh,
The
they're like
boxer style
boxers.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't really wear undershorts, and people are like, oh, but what if they see your oddballs? I'm like, they're just seeing some pants, aren't they? Like,
By your oddballs, I thought you meant your oddballs. That'd be more sense for a boy.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. But yeah, it's okay if they see your budgies underneath or something like that.
I'm
but
like, it is what it is now. Like,
yeah.
it's
But
Jesus' will.
to
isn't it?
actually have your mini. Well, actually, there was a picture of a girl we played against. Obviously, you get sent all the photos after the game, and there was one just of her vagina out in the shorts. And that's even worse than like, oh, the ref saw it because it's a photo.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
The
that can't
photographer
go
didn't
anywhere.
think to like not
Maybe,
include
I
that
think he
one.
just uploaded to Dropbox before editing or anything, and then there was just
He was
this
just like,
photo.
A word to all photographers. Just double check. It doesn't take long without editing to just
Check for
be
any
sure.
fannies.
Yeah, check for vaginas. Would you? Thanks. I don't play anymore. This isn't even for me. None of us play anymore. This is for all the future women who forget their undershorts.
Yeah, literally. So, moving on from butt clenching moment of the week, I've got a few.
Jem said she had icks. Do you have a list of icks?
I have an ick straight out.
Gets out the notes
Oh
section
my
on
god,
her phone.
great. Okay,
Let's
we'll
hear it.
start with icks.
I don't even need the note section for this one and I feel like I may get some echoes throughout the room with this one. It's going nowhere.
Oh, she don't want
do you
it.
know what?
She don't want it.
I'm even if it's my own team, I'm like, that's very embarrassing. Are you not embarrassed? Like, honestly, it makes me so. There's something about it. I'm just like, what's it going to do? Like, it's already in the air. You're not going to put her off the wind. You know, I just don't.
Do you think that sideline chat does put people off in the game? Can you? I don't really hear it when I'm playing anyway.
I think it depends on the volume. Like, I've had games where I played against a team and their supporters were known for being really, really unpleasant.
Hate clubs like that.
I know a few clubs like
That's
that.
an ick
Literally,
in
so
itself.
I remember I was about to go into a scrum and they were going, break their necks, break their legs.
no.
And I was like,
No.
That's not rugby.
That's just so un-rugby. But even like for me, that like little bit of like, oh, it's going nowhere. I'm just like, that's just not very rugby.
No.
It's just not. It's not cute.
No,
It's not cute. You're right.
Well, someone said their rugby ick was backs.
Just
backs.
Hang on.
Vic Rush has exited the group chat.
I'm out. I was a back.
Absolutely. Who is that? Give me their name.
Anonymous.
These things are not anonymous.
But yeah, backs. I was a back, went and moved into the forward, so I feel like I won't give them as bad talk
As
because I
if.
was one.
I have
What is wrong with backs?
I have played approximately shirts 1 to 5, but I did play 9 once in the Lily Partridge
God.
Memorial game. I think I'm the tallest scrum half that ever existed
You're
ever.
going to
That's
say
the
that
last position
in the
you'll
men's and
captain
women's game. You hands down are the tallest scrum half that's
100%.
ever existed.
Do you know what's really funny though? There's a great picture of me, right? And because I'm so used to being in a scrum, I fed in the ball and kind of went, that's a really good scrum. The next thing I know, I've got their 8, right? Because the ball's come out for me to pick it up. Their 8 basically just went John Cena and just absolutely clapped me. And I was like, oh.
Imagine if they were half your size and that happens to them every week. That's a
know.
nine's job.
I know. It made me appreciate as much I have given nines jip on the internet for like nearly 4 years now. Like I will always respect them genuinely because I got clapped once.
I did, played 9 once, and I don't know a large number of the rules when it comes to a scrum because I'm a fullback. I am far away from this problem. I was about to feed the ball in and someone went, other side, and I was like,
Oh, no.
why didn't the ref tell me? The ref has stood in the correct place and not bothered telling me. You could see it. He was like purposely being difficult.
Yeah.
I was like, I obviously don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to play a game of rugby so my mates can have a good day out. Why couldn't you have gone, since you've not done this before, just so as you know it's over here, instead of just waiting to penalise me for it? That really got me.
That's another big ick of mine as well. Petty refs. So,
I can't stand
if
them.
there is a decision that is for or against my team, but it's fair, I've got no issue with that. But like, for example, again, I've been to games where one of our players who's known for having a bit of a hot head, ref knew who she was straight out the bat. We were screwed from the moment we turned up. And actually, what's frustrating is she's been working really hard
To not be like that.
to not be like that. Exactly. And so I was really frustrated. I was like, this girl's been working hard to prove that she's doing better, and actually you're kind of just shooting her in the foot before she started.
And let's be honest, people start playing rugby, well, a lot of people have a story as to why they're playing rugby, so that could have been like her thing is that I want to like channel this energy and this like built up aggression or something and
100%.
put it into a sport. And then it's just a bit annoying like if a ref's just actually like targeting you because of that, because it's actually like that's what rugby can help release in you, so that's frustrating. But another Another rugby ick is, sorry, backs. Backs telling forwards to do better in scrums.
Do you know what? No, I'm not having that. I don't think I know a back who would ever say that. Oh yeah, because I'm going to wander over.
9.
Okay, yeah, but I wouldn't count them as backs. They're just the gobby people in the middle.
I had a centre once trying to give me second rowing advice, and I was like, and I'll always be like, okay.
Yeah,
and I just reached that point where we'd had like 100 scrums that day, and they were just a hard. You know, when you have, Amy will appreciate this, when you just have a bad day in the office scrums wise, and you do, they're just a better team. You just have a bad day and you can pull out every single trick in the book. They're just a better team. And she's like, so you just need to be like driving more with your legs. And I was like, mate, I love you. Shut up. Go away.
Drive more with your legs. What a piece of advice for
I was just like,
scrummaging.
mate, I love you. Shut up. Go
Should
away.
we swap for a minute and you can try it?
Well, we've all seen backs get involved in scrums at international level. And even well, when Johnny May stuck his head between the legs of the prop, and we were like, this says everything about how little backs have ever been taught about scrummaging.
But Danny Kerr jumps on the back of a scrum. And then they go like over the line and he's like, yeah. And I was like, hun, that wasn't you. Just because you were touching someone's shoulder and like kind of pushing, he was like, yeah, I did that. And I was like, no.
Do you know what I love? I love though when you're in a mall, right? And the mall's swinging around all over the place, like it's a really out of control mall, and then somehow a back has got sucked into it like a whirlpool. I'm like, how did you get here? Oh, hey babes, Ariana, what are you doing here?
You're lost. Could someone come and collect their child from aisle 5?
Did your mum give you permission to be here?
Yeah. Where's your permission slip, please?
Do you have armbands on?
Do you need me to call on the checkout for your mum to come and get you?
I can give you one more rugby ick of mine.
Bring it.
When teams win or lose and they are just so dog shit about it, to be really blunt, the best piece of coaching advice, and it always sticks with me to this day, it was my first ever game at like in a warrior level women's team, and my coach turned around to us and went, win or lose, just don't be shit. And so if you win, don't be a shit winner. Yeah. If you lose, don't be a shit loser. And it stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I've played against shit winners and shit losers. And like, if you win, you fully deserve to celebrate that, especially if it's been a hard game. But also there's just a line, you know, when you just...
Oh, and they're singing.
Well, when they're turning around to you being like, you're shit kind of thing. I'm just like...
I hate it when they're singing like their awful chants after a game. That just like grinds on you when you've lost, and the other team are like singing their songs, and I'm like, no, I can't listen to this right now.
And then the same if you lose, and then like I've had people even turn around like places like Facebook being like, well, the ref was on her side anyway, ref might as well have had their colours on. And I was sat behind some people the other week at my own club that were giving all this in my ear, and I'm just like, it's just not cute.
It's not a game of rugby. Like, let's enjoy it.
It's not even like it's an international game we're talking about here. Like, who cares? Just let it go. We're just here on a Saturday, Sunday to have a laugh
100%.
and play some sport. Whether or not, look, winning and losing is important, and I am very much for. I hate losing, very much for winning. But having a go at people for it doesn't matter. It's not the be all and end all. You're not getting paid.
Rugby is like known for being like a respectful sport as well. Like, you tackle someone, you help them back up kind of thing. And I love it at the end of a game when before they start celebrating, they'll come over to you, they'll shake your hand and you'll all chat, and then they celebrate and stuff, and I'm like, but they've made the like choice to come and be respectful first, and I always really appreciate that. In fact, that shows you a good team.
Like I play against Anya quite regularly, the chatty prop, and like to the point we're just stupid when we play against each other. So like she ran at me, and Anya has got one of the lowest centre of gravities I've ever seen in a human being. She is like trying to tackle a freight train, like in the most respectful way. And I've told her this as well. She's just demonic when she runs at you, so powerful. And she ran at me. I didn't get low enough because, again, when I fold myself to tackle, it's like a deck chair in the wind. And she just boshed me over. And she was like, oh, mate, I hope you're right. I was like, I just should have been better in that scenario.
You did good.
You did good.
You did good.
You're just good. And like we'll be in scrums and stuff, and because I often second row now, and she'll be in front row on the opposite side, so I'll look her in the eye and I'll be like, because I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet, I got no rhythm. And she's just like trying not to laugh at me, and then I'm just like crouching. I'm like, hey, the little mama lemma whisper in your ear. Horrendous.
I feel like scrum banter there's definitely a scrum banter, isn't there, with other teams?
Oh, I've had props full on trying to be all like Aggie in my face, and I'm like, has anyone ever told you you're beautiful?
I'd rather kill him with kindness.
Honestly, it really throws the people that are in front row because they're just aggressive. It really throws them out when you kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
I'm like,
100%.
I love your hair today.
Yeah.
Did you plait that yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, kill them with kindness, and it really throws them out.
So good. So random question: what would you say is your most toxic trait about yourself?
Oh, that's deep.
To think about.
I am really I give a lot of love for a lot of people, but I am very bad at like answering my phone and stuff. So like, for example, any one of my friends throughout the entire work could call me in the middle of the night, any time all day, and I would literally take a plane, take a bus, I'd be by their side. But like, if you just message me during the week, I'll be like, aha, I need to open that, and then I'll be like, oh, I blinked and 3 days went past.
Yeah.
So I now leave
That's
people
Ifiok as well. Ifiok's
Is he?
the same.
I'm like that.
He's awful at replying. His
Yeah.
New Year's resolution was to reply to people.
Really?
Vic,
But
but like
like-
toxic trait?
Well, this is definitely one of mine. Yeah. I currently have 5 unread messages, and some of them go back a good. Oh. August. Oops.
August.
One of them's from August.
Yeah, I now leave
That's a
people
no
on
reply
unread
at
as,
this
like,
point.
Yeah, I leave people on unread until I'm like ready to
But
deal
that's
with
what
it.
I do. Sometimes I accidentally open it and then have to put it back on unread
Yeah.
to remind myself to go back and read it. So sometimes people think I've ignored them. I haven't. It's
No.
just the fact that I know I haven't got time to read it yet or do the thing they need me to do. So put it on unread and
Yeah.
come back to it later. But sometimes, as you can see,
And then
8 months, 9 months later.
and then I know I'm like that as well. But then the other way around, if someone doesn't reply to me, I'm like, oh my god, they
Yeah, me
hate
too.
me.
Yeah.
They hate me.
Yeah.
They never want to speak to me again. What
But
have I
you're
done?
like,
And then I
doing the
rack
same.
through my brain. I'm like, what could I have possibly have done to upset them or offend them? Like, my brain goes into overdrive
Yeah.
really quick as well.
Yeah, I feel you.
What's yours, Amy?
My toxic trait, I've got a few.
Yeah. Which one?
I've got a few, like, I will randomly start talking about something as if you know what I'm talking about, but I've already started the conversation in my head. So I might just be like, we need to, like, we're going to do that, and then we're going to go here. And they were like, Amy, what are you on about? Like,
I can
what are you? And then I
confirm
have
this
to be like,
happens.
oh, for the podcast, I was thinking, and then she's like, right, yeah, now I know
Yeah.
the full story. But I start a story in my head, and then I say, like, half of it and expect people to understand me.
I do exactly
That's
the same.
ADHD, that.
Yeah.
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 And then
Classic.
Another one is like saying things before I think. Like, I don't think about when's a good time to say something. I think that thing and I say it. So it's not always like the right time.
I feel like you should rename this section from toxic traits to like ADHD trait of
trait.
the week.
ADHD trait of the week. Yeah, that's a vibe, to be
Yeah.
fair.
But also,
I
as,
think-
also as well on that, like jokes aside, like a lot of ADHD traits in women are seen so negatively because there's still
Yeah.
the
I
stereotype.
love mine.
Well, there's still the stereotype with kind of neurodivergency in women. You know, you think of neurodivergence, a lot of people still think of the naughty little boy that couldn't sit still in the classroom, whereas actually you get women who are so functional in a lot of ways but then struggle so hard in some areas.
Yeah.
And
And
I
if
think
you
a
look
lot of
like-
people who look like extroverts, they are often the people that again like, I need to go home and process, and I need to
100%.
Yeah, that is me.
Yeah, that is me. And I think I found a lot of people in the creative industry are very similar, because usually if you have ADHD or you just have like an overactive mind, or quite like you have a lot of thoughts, you're a bit of an overthinker, you generally have a lot of ideas as
Yeah.
well. And I think what comes with that is like that creative side. And I think when you have an outlet for that creativity, it's great. But I struggled in like a normal job with those thoughts, because I just want to do more and more and more, and then kind of not know where to put that energy. Whereas now it's like rugby content, I can put all of that energy into it and feel like, but I'm the same as you. When I've done that, like when I've had a busy week of like events and filming and matches, I do have to like reset at home, and I really enjoy my alone time as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually like you say, extroverts kind of need a bit of time on
Yeah.
their own, because we have like a very high social battery, but when it runs out, it really runs out.
And that's the thing, because I don't make New Year's resolutions because, again, my brain doesn't work well with sticking to them. But the resolution I made myself over last year was about like creating more boundaries and being more solid with them, and like and not being impolite, but just being better with boundaries. So saying to people, hey, I'm not ignoring you, but I'm just taking a day to process. I've had a really busy couple of days. Love you, and I'll speak to you in a few days.
Yeah.
And that,
I might save that in a note and just reply it to people sometimes. Just be like,
you might as well
this
copy
isn't me.
paste.
This is this isn't me ignoring you. It's
Yeah.
just I need a few days. I was gonna, my
Yeah.
toxic trait is definitely my impulsiveness, because I can make plans for months in advance, and someone will come up to me and go, do you want to go do this really cool thing? And I'm like, yeah! I won't even look at what I'm supposed to actually be doing or who I've made plans with or whatever it is, and I'll just like get on a plane and go somewhere.
Yeah,
and
I'm the same.
instead of like planning things, I think I also spend a lot of time running away from my problems, terrified of commitment and other toxic trait.
Wow.
And so someone goes, let's go do this thing, I'm like, rather than dealing with all the other things I know I need to do, I'm going to go and do something really cool that's going to entertain my brain over here. Like last year, I've been in my flat now 11 months and I have done zero to it. Like nothing. I had all these plans before I moved in. I spent 6 months buying the place. Like I was staying with you at that point, and I was like, I can't wait to move in. Got in and got a new job, and then everyone went, do you want to go here? Do you want to do this? And I just went, yes. And never at any point sat back and went, you do actually have human adult priorities. You cannot keep getting on an aeroplane and just bucking off around the world to
Yeah.
watch rugby.
I think you need a safe space to come home to, like, and when you make that space like your personality and you feel comfortable and you've decorated it and it's got like all your favorite things there, it's actually like this place where you don't have to put on any like persona. You can just be yourself, and but if you don't create that space, you'll kind of feel like the itch to go somewhere,
That's
do
the
something.
mistake I made.
And coming now, you're getting
and coming home as well to people who fill your pot, like positively. A lot of people misunderstand Matt, my partner, because when you meet him for the first time, he'll be quite quiet and he takes his minute to kind of figure things out, whereas I'm like, hi. But actually he's very steady. He's very stubborn at times. He won't mind me saying that, because he's stubborn as a rock. But also on the flip side, he's my stable and he's my safe space. And I come home and I can go and do exciting things all over the place. But I come home and I just sit with him and I just feel okay. And that was what made me know that, again, he was my person. Because I think I bring him out of his shell a little bit and I encourage him to try new things.
And he tells you to get back in yours and chill out a little bit.
I always say a good friendship's when you can sit in silence and not feel like you need to like fill that space, and you can just sit there and just enjoy each other's company without even saying anything.
You two have your people.
Yeah.
I bought a really big sofa. That's my person.
Your people can be your friends also.
But are you happy coexisting with it
It's
then?
the
Yes.
most comfortable sofa in the world, and now I do want to go home to it. So, swings and roundabouts, silver linings.
And I'll stay on it eventually. We'll also do some challenges on it eventually as well. Some acrobats.
I spent too much money on that sofa. You are going nowhere near it.
Well, you guys know she just said she's scared of commitment. Well, I make her commit to doing some of these yoga poses, challenges all the time.
I
She
dislocated my
hates
thumb
doing it,
in
but
January.
she will do it.
You might not know this if you're watching the pod for the first time, but I actually keep tagging them both in alternative solutions, and I think I'm about that far away from getting blocked by Vic Rush at this point.
And I'm encouraging it, and Vic's like, please make it stop.
Comes around, I'm like, why do I do this to myself? I could just say I'm busy, but then I kind of get into it once we get going.
And then, like, when I
get a bit
edit it and I
competitive.
send it to you after, you're like, oh, I love it. That was fun. But, like, in the moment, like, I actually had a bad back the next day.
I've been injured 3 times, and we've done it 3 times. So
I had a dislocated thumb, and you were like, let's just carry on.
I thought
was
that
like,
had a 100% success rate in a way, though.
yeah, great. I quit rugby, and now I'm doing acrobatics with Amy.
literally.
Hey, that's a new side hustle.
Acrobatics with Amy. Oh
There
my
you go,
god,
got your new name.
perfect.
Yeah.
Right, last question. Jemma, close off the pod for us today. What are your predictions for the Women's Six Nations this year?
So, look, I think we're still in a situation where
Sorry.
look,
Okay, look.
I think we are still
I've
in a
thought about
situation where the Red Roses are going to take the crown. But I want to add in a big old but there, because every single other team in that Six Nations is getting more and more exciting and also more and more competitive to the Roses every single year. Yeah. Like Italy have got some amazing momentum going. They've got some real talent. B. Rigoni, who I swear you can almost see the like numbers and the lines flashing up for her as she plays.
Strategic, yeah.
Brilliant brain. You've got like the Scotland women. I mean, I love them with all my heart. They've got some amazing characters, and I would say like no one on that team would not die for that jersey. You see it every time they play, the heart that team plays with. Ireland, I'm just excited to see more of. Yeah. You know, again, some amazing talent coming up through. And obviously kind of changes over with leadership and captains. I'm excited to see more from Ireland. Wales, just some of the nicest girls I know on that squad. Yeah. You know, some of my favourite people just in rugby play for Wales, and I'm excited to see them again. So, and France, just the talent again within that French squad. I think that we may get a team just come out of the blue.
I hope so.
Do you think anyone will beat England and they won't take a Grand Slam this time? I'm not convinced we're there yet.
No, we're not there yet. But I think each year we get closer and closer and closer. And I think that each year, again, we see more teams rattling the Roses a little bit more. Like we saw it at the World Cup last year, the Fijiana, and I think this was so the spirit of rugby for me. The Fijiana came into that match. Look, they're coming against England, best women's team in the world. They knew it was likely not going to be a win, but the way that they played their fiery, flary Fijian rugby, you could see the Roses kind of went, oh, for the first half of that game. And that's the first time I think I've seen that team really like thrown out a little bit.
Yep.
And again, I love England. You know, I want them to win, but it's exciting to see teams give a bit more of a challenge because
it's more entertaining, like when it's competitive at the end of the day. Like
100%.
I did like the last final with France, where really they come in really strong, and it was really exciting that first half. And I think if you can get rugby that's like close and competitive, it's just more exciting to watch. But yeah, I think you're right. There might be some dark horses, and there's definitely like particular players in some of these other nations as well that are definitely like that at that level. So. Yeah, I'm excited as well. And I just can't wait to sit there as a fan and just be in the atmosphere and watch it all unfold again and just see the game hopefully hit some more record-breaking crowds as well. But, yeah, so exciting.
England, Ireland at Twickenham. That's going to be the one, isn't it?
I love that. Would be good.
Awesome. Guys, thanks for joining us. Gemma, thanks for coming on Slightly Offside. And thank you for everyone who has made it this far.